From F.E. Warren Air Force Base in Cheyenne, Wyoming, this is Missile Minutiae, the official podcast of the 90th Missile Wing and the Wranglers
Hello
of
again,
F.E.
and
Warren.
welcome back to Missile
Here are your
Minutiae, the
hosts.
official podcast of the 90th Missile Wing and F.E. Warren Air Force Base. With me, as always, I've got my, well, not as always. Last time he wasn't able to make it because of an injury, but I've got with me Tech Sergeant Placey. Tyler, how you doing?
Oh, not bad, Glenn. How are you?
Oh, not too bad, bud.
So we've got a couple guests today from the 90th OSS. We have the Codes Flight Commander, Captain Darrin Gould, and the Interim Chief of Training, Captain John Pacheco. How are y'all doing?
Fantastic today.
Doing good.
Glad to have you on, and I appreciate you taking the time. Everyone at the 90th Missile Wing, everyone on this base has heard the term code change. We've heard it, but I'd be willing to bet not many of us that aren't involved with it have any idea what it is. I imagine that some of it you can't tell me because this is going out to podcast land. But for what you can tell us, what does code change mean? What goes into it?
So simpler terms first, we'll go with code changes. We're changing all the codes out in the missile. So more specifically on class, we change out the launch codes, the enable codes, and we change the codes that allow the LFs and the LCCs to communicate with each other. So that's simpler terms, changing all the codes out there.
Well, that was simple terms.
Very simple, but that's good. That's good for us. I don't have a great understanding of it to begin with, but I was always curious how many folks around the base, like how many entities, units, whatever you want to call them, how many folks does it take to make this happen?
So with this mission, it is truly a wing mission. We have to hit all 150 of the LFs, and we have to hit all 15 of the LCCs. We usually spread it out from a squadron a week. Typically, we have a month in between. This time, due to the COVID situation, we were given the opportunity to try and see if we can do it faster. So we crammed it all into just a little bit over a month, and it was an insane process. To get this going, you have to have all the maintenance guys that are going out there. You have to have the cops that are out there for security. So, we're pinging those groups and making sure that their personnel are, up and ready for the task. And over in the OG, we got to have our missileers going out there as well. So it was, what did you say it was?
Around 300 different individuals, each code change participate.
That's a lot going on, but you guys got it done, and it sounds like it was, by all accounts, successful and went through as it should have, even if it did take up plenty of your time.
Absolutely.
Maybe wear you out a little bit. But so how does code change ensure the security and, the effectiveness of our nuclear enterprise here on the base?
So naturally, the longer that something is out in the field, the more time that it, has an opportunity to be, tampered with, or maybe, somebody trying to decode, these codes and whatnot. So, if you change them every year, person has to start over, any kind of entity that would be trying to take our...
To get in and try and get the information and get access.
Yeah, the NSA requires us every year to change the code. So
Okay.
it's a requirement by the NSA. We have to do it every single year.
Seems like it's worth it. Maybe not outside of the actual work that goes into it. Seems like it's worth it for the effectiveness and the maintenance of security within the enterprise. Now, you said more than 300 individuals put their time and effort into each code change. So does that happen over a day for a code change? Or are we talking too specific in time?
Nope. So it starts off, a couple months before code change. Each squadron has their individual POC. They start coordinating with their squadron how they want to run their code change. There's different training we give. Every team that's going out to the field, they all have to have training. Here at Codes, we do training before code change. And then usually about a week before each squadron starts the code change, all the different shops will come together, maintenance, security forces, OSS, the squadrons, and we'll kind of game plan, do like a rock drill of how we want the code change to go, how the flow is going to go. And then we do that for each of the 3 code changes.
So for typically each squadron, it takes it takes 5 days. We just split up the sites and be like, all right, we can hit maybe 10 each day. is wishful thinking, and
Isn't it always?
And and there's a lot of things that go into it. You get out to a site, sometimes one of the electronic things don't work, so now you can't do that site. You just got to push on to the next site and try and push that one to the end. We have to make sure that we get all 150 sites on the new codes.
Speaking of those 300 personnel, what does that mean as far as changing their daily life while doing code change? I mean, does it change the time in the hole, or what does that look like?
So for missileers, typically pre-COVID, we would go out, we would do a 24-hour alert, and then we'd come back the next day, and that'd be the battle rhythm. Every few days you'd go out for 24 hours and come back. Since COVID started, they started doing longer deployments and doing all their testing to make sure that everybody is, healthy. They figure, you leave them out in the field longer, those guys are guaranteed to be healthy. You're not rotating as often. That actually worked out for them for code change because pre-COVID, we would be out there for a week anyway. So now that they're out there for a week, it didn't change anything for them. It was a lot easier.
So what you're saying is that COVID actually had a positive effect somewhere. That is...
I don't know if you want to say that, but possibly.
I heard it got you guys YouTube, at least for a little while. Is that true?
It did get them some YouTube access
but it's
for a
gone
while.
now. So.
What a bummer. What a bummer.
Bring that up on the next town hall. Yes. It's brought up almost every week.
Code change to YouTube.
For sure.
John Places, did you have any other questions that you wanted to specifically ask her?
No.
Okay.
No, I think you guys did a good job of explaining it. The last thing I would ask is there anything that you guys want to share with podcast land, as Glenn puts it, about code change or about what you guys do and the importance of it?
So for the ICBM force, code change is the largest operation that we do. It's the largest peacetime operation. So all of the hard work that goes into it, all the individuals that are supporting are key to making this happen, making sure that, the president has this option whenever he needs it. We want to always be ready. We're a support squadron, but us as a force, we've been entrusted by the country to provide deterrence against the biggest threats out there.
Gentlemen, I definitely appreciate the both of you taking the time to come here and talk to us about it, because I've been here for 4 years and I've had it explained to me a couple of different times, and it was just always kind of like, okay, but why? So thank you guys. I do appreciate you taking the time.
Yeah, no
I
problem.
really enjoyed the simplicity.
Try.
Oh, for sure.
So hopefully it gives everybody that same kind of understanding. It's simple for everybody to understand.
That's what we're hoping for.
If I understand it, most people will. That's just how it works. So speaking of code changes, and a little bit of a reason why they do it is because the longer something's out there, the easier it is to hack. We'll be talking to cybersecurity
That's correct.
on the next podcast.
Cool deal. Well, that's the podcast. Thank you guys for listening, and we will see you next time.
And that's the way the cookie crumbles.
Every time.